Hello and welcome to Scott Bryson Beyond the Service. Hope you're doing well today. I decided that tonight would be a little more laid back, a little more fun. I have a clip here I'll play for you in just a second. I ran across this the other day and it got me reminiscing a little bit back to my days when I was with the service. And when Laura Trump had her first child, Luke Trump, in September of 2017. Is that right? 2017, I think, because I went up there in January. Yeah, so 2017. It's been a while. It's been almost 8 years. It's hard to believe how time flies. I was the detail leader for Eric and Laura Trump when I first took over in January of 17, right when 45 became 45. It was just Eric. He was the son of the president, and he was the protectee. Then shortly thereafter, maybe, I don't know, February, March timeframe, Trump signed some executive orders and the spouses got protection. So I doubled my footprint, which doesn't sound like a lot because you went from 1 to 2. Well, guess what? I didn't know she was pregnant until I knew she was pregnant. And then I went to 3. So I tripled it. We're not talking about big numbers, but we're talking about human beings that you're responsible for. And what was unique about that situation was, I had been at the White House when the Bush girls were there, but I'm trying to remember. I think they were like high school. I know they were in college. I think maybe they were still in high school when Bush got elected. Some of my friends that were on their detail would know for sure. I was never assigned to them. I was just assigned to 43, and then I went to the CAT team. So I did some stuff with them, but it was more in a support role. I didn't work directly, with them daily. So I don't remember exactly how old they were, but I know for a fact by the time I got involved with them when I was on CAT and I was kind of going out supplementing the shift in a tactical element, they were in college. So I think they started in high school. Nevertheless, they were young, right? High school, college girls, whatever. The Obama girls, a little bit younger. They were grade school, middle school, something like that, and then went all the way up through, because he was in office for 8 years too, and then they went up to high school. It was a little different for the Bush girls because they were in college by the time I was around, and one was in Texas and one was at Yale. But the Obama girls was a little easier because they were little kids. They were young girls, and they went to school in Georgetown. So they came home and slept under the same roof with mom and dad every night. If you know, you know. But anyway, when the Trumps got in, now you have a family with grown children. Tiffany was the youngest child I guess Barron, but Tiffany was in law school. Barron was 12 or whatever, 10 or 12. I don't know. He was so tall back then too. He was a young guy, right? And then Eric, Don, and Ivanka were grown adults in their 30s, maybe close to 40, but they were running a multi-million, billion-dollar company, doing their thing, living in a different city. So you want to talk about a different footprint. And here I was, a North Carolina boy. I've been to the Big Apple, but it's one thing to go for a night or two or a week or two and stay in a hotel. It's a different thing to live there. Everything's harder in New York, if you didn't know. And my good buddy Al Story, who I've had on here, I'd love to get him back on. He was Mountaineers, or Don Jr.'s detail leader. I was Eric's guy, and poor Al had his hands full with Don and Vanessa at the time and their 5 kids. So that was 7 protectees. I mean, that dude's hair was on fire. But anyway, my footprint was a little smaller, and I didn't have a whole lot of support at the time. It was all temps. It's just not a good way of doing business. I think they hopefully gotten it right this time. I know they're living down in Florida, and I'm become pretty good friends with their detail leader now. Solid dude, good man of God, just an amazing human being. But I think for them, it's a little better. I'm not going to say easier because it's not easy, but a little better, I would say, because he lives in Florida and that's where his wife and kids are, and he can go home when he's in town, and you don't have to go home to an empty apartment, which was quite depressing, if I'm being honest. My had one kid in college. I had a senior in high school and a sophomore in high school, and I think that's right. And I just know I left them in Virginia, and I went to Manhattan and got an apartment. And I would come home as often as I could. I try not to be gone more than 2 weeks. Sometimes I was gone maybe like 3 weeks. I try not to be gone more than 2 weeks at a pop. It's just hard, you know. Military's hard too because you get deployed and you're gone for 6 months or 9, whatever it is. But you're gone. When you're gone, you're gone. You get on the airplane, you're gone. This lifestyle is hard in a different way because it's like you're living by someone else's schedule. A military guy or girl, they have this amount of time that they know they're out of pocket, and they know that crap like a year out or longer, and they do their workups and then they go. So you can kind of mentally and physically prepare. But with Secret Service, it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's like you might be gone 2 days, you might be gone 2 weeks. You just don't know, and it's just hard. But what I wanted to talk about tonight is supposed to be fun or funny or whatever, because there was some, as hard as the job was, and it was the hardest assignment I ever had, but it was also the most rewarding because of the human element that the Trumps brought to the table. Just salt of the earth people. I know I say that a lot. There's plenty of people watching this that agree with me, and there's some that might not. And that's okay. I'm not a Trump apologist. I don't really care if you like him or not anymore. If you care that I like Joe Biden or not, which is something we're not talking about tonight, but just awesome human beings. And I want to show this video that was sent to me on Instagram the other day because it brought back some good memories, and I'll talk about it in just a second.
Both my kids were born during my father-in-law's first term in office. So what was kind of amazing is that I went into the hospital to deliver these kids, and we went in with a certain number of Secret Service agents, and we came out with double that because there was another protectee who had been born. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So that was the first term. So, I mean, they were so young. Of course, they didn't notice then. They didn't really notice a whole lot. But this time around, they're aware. What am I supposed to do?
Anyway, that goes on to say how it kind of cut off. But basically, she was going on to say that, like, if they want to go to the park and she's busy and can't go, they'll say, well, the Secret Service guys can take me. It's hilarious. So when Laura was pregnant, we knew it was imminent. There's a due date. And she was really freaked out that her baby was going to be born on September 11th. And Luke was born September 12th. So I know she was worried about that. And we kind of joked about that some. And I think I've told the story on here before, but it's worth telling again because it's funny. I was off. I was finally off. I'd worked my day shift. Eric had gone to a meeting after hours somewhere up north with the guys. So I was off, and I had come home, and I got on the computer a little while. I was working on the schedule, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna lay down and rest a minute. And I was laying on the couch watching a little TV, which I didn't really get to do much, but I had made some time just to relax for a few minutes. And my buddy Mike called me and said, hey, Lars, water just broke, and the rest is history. So we had a good plan put in place, and we rallied together, and Eric got back from the meeting, and we all met at the hospital, and that was a long night. And then that was September 11th, I guess. I think. I don't remember. Yeah, I think so. And then the baby was born the next morning. And of course, I'll try to find a picture of it and put on here. We're all sitting around this conference table waiting on baby Trump to come into the world. And just some good memories, good dudes, selfless dudes that put other people first. And, it's one thing to protect a 35-year-old man or a 35-year-old woman, whatever they were at the time. It's another thing to be responsible for an infant who cannot do anything for himself. And if you're a mom or a dad, you know that baby is dependent upon you, right? Like for food and, clothes and diaper changes, all the things. And we didn't do diaper changes. But what I'm saying is being a parent of an infant is super hard. But then trying to be responsible for keeping said human being alive that's about this big, uh, with the mom and dad, it just added a whole nother element. Now we're adding car seats to the mix. I had all the first aid bags and the guns and the equipment and all the EA stuff, and now I have to add car seats and booster seats and all the things to the mix. It's just I'm just telling you, you don't think about it at the time, but it adds. It's a thing you got to deal with. It's a thing you got to carry, because guess what? If we're going to the airport in the limo, which the limo was just what we call the car, usually Suburbans, nice big SUV of some type, but usually a Suburban. You got to put the baby in a baby seat. Well, when you're landing in DC or wherever, you have another car there that has to have a car seat in it, because you can't travel with that stuff. I mean, you can travel with some of it, but it gets a little cumbersome, and uh, you have to have the stuff ready on when you land, because to come off the plane and get in the car and go. Right? Sometimes these schedules are tight, and we have to get to the White House for a meeting or whatever it was, get to the hotel, whatever they were doing, and so it was like a lot of little, logistical things like that you don't think of. Like, oh, they're having a baby, that's cool, and then it just spirals to one thing after another. It's all good stuff. Diaper bags, you know, toys, all the things. They're big dog people too, or at least Laura is. I think Eric just goes along to get along. But they had a couple dogs while I was there. And so you got dogs and leashes and babies and strollers and car seats and diaper bags and all the diapers and machine guns, all the things. So it was just a really interesting time in my life, interesting time in my career. Like I got to experience some things that most people don't get to experience. Now Al had his hands full because he had 5 little human beings that were already pretty self-sufficient running around. I think Chloe was maybe 4, 3 or 4. She was little bitty, and she's cute as a button, but uh, she had car seats and stuff too. Well, several of them did, but they could at least walk and talk and feed themselves. This was a human being that couldn't do anything without the help of another human being, and so it really, and I don't know how to say this, like it added a lot of stress to the situation, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but like I was responsible. When you're responsible for another human being, um, it just it's hard because you got to get it right every single time, and the bad guy's only got to get it right once. And so when you're responsible for another human being, you take that very seriously. I've often said that is a serious job for serious people, but you also have to have a little fun too, right? And having a bundle of joy come along will definitely uh, add for some humor uh, in the mix when it comes to different things on a daily basis. But it also adds stress because you're like, I can't imagine, something happening to that baby, or the parents either, obviously, but like the baby, no chance, right? And so everybody upped their game, and I worked with some amazing people. I couldn't have done that job alone. I don't know where everybody's at these days, but I hope if anybody ever sees any of these videos that they know how much I appreciated what they did to help me survive, because it was maniacal at times, in a good way. I love Eric and Laura so much. Luke wouldn't remember me. Was too little. I never got to be around Carolina, but I know that the men and women that are protecting them now take it very seriously, uh, and I wish nothing but the best for everybody.